stuck Celtic and Rangers into English football, it wouldn't be long before they were operating at the highest level of English football. Irrespective of how poor it's become, and when you get Celtic or Rangers playing against an English side, it's not cut and dried in Champions League or European football. It becomes a difficult battle. And I think if you put Celtic and Rangers into the Championship with 60,000 crowds, they'll be in the Premier League within 3 years. And then once they're in the Premier League, hold on a second, it's all bets off.
Graham, answer this before we hit the 11:30 bulletin. Mark in Surrey, and you and I both know that a point like this is always going to come. My take on yesterday in Glasgow was that the poor state of Scottish football was highlighted. The two sides on show would struggle to be mid-table Championship in England. The two Edinburgh sides in Aberdeen wouldn't trouble the top of League One, and the rest would be League Two or National League. It's just poor football. A long way from the days when we used to travel to watch Graham's Rangers side.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, the way the game has evolved, where I live down in Bournemouth, you know, the mighty Cherries get something like 90 million plus, I think I'm correct in saying, from television. You know, 11,000 stadium, they get 90. Am I right, Simon?
About 100, but you're
circa 90 million. And I think I'm correct in saying Glasgow Rangers...
60, 70 million turnover, all in.
And Glasgow Rangers, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, with an unbelievable history. Am I right in saying they get 3 million?
Yes.
So
right.
there's your, is it Mark from Surrey?
Yeah, Mark from Surrey.
There's your story in a nutshell. When I was managing Glasgow Rangers, we had half the English team. That's how the game has been unfair on the Scottish teams.
What I would say to Mark Surrey, Graham, is if I was to choose from watching Manchester City 0, Arsenal 0 from last week, or watching Rangers 3, Celtic 3 from yesterday, I know what one would entertain me more.
Yeah, Jim, you can always cherry pick in isolation which ones, you know. City are a great watch at times.
If you stuck Celtic and Rangers into English football, it wouldn't be long before they were operating at the highest level of English football.
See, people have to understand.
And how would that be?
Well, listen, the discussion was about 20 years ago about them coming into the Championship. And obviously some turkeys got a vote for Christmas by being prepared to be relegated to facilitate that. And there has to be some sort of financial model that made that happen. But with 60,000 fans, look at the way that these, irrespective of how poor it's become, when you get a Battle of Britain, when you get Celtic or Rangers playing against an English side, it's not cut and dried in Champions League or European football. It becomes a difficult battle. And I think if you put Celtic and Rangers into the Championship with 60,000 crowds, they'll be in the Premier League within 3 years. And then once they're in the Premier League, hold on a second, then it's all bets off. They've got the revenue, they've got the worldwide eyes on the prize, they've got another 120 million. They'll be a top side.
If there was a stadium in Glasgow that they would never do it. Okay, let's say Rangers got a stadium for 100,000 people and Celtic have, and they're in the Premier League. They would fill it for most of the Premier League games in Glasgow. 100,000 people. That's how big those two clubs are.
Yeah,
agreed.
Michael's a big Celtic fan. Michael, good morning. More important for Celtic, the point yesterday than Rangers, or where are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I think Rangers actually bottled the game yesterday. If you look at the first half, Darwin was giving away the ball. Goldson gave away the ball quite a lot, and I think Rangers, Graham's a winner. So he knows a game like that, if you're getting ambitions of winning the league, you have to go and beat Celtic there at home. You need to go and beat them, and they can't do it. They can't seem to do it.
So you think it's more 2 points lost for Rangers? Do you agree with that, Graham?
When you look at two actually sensible Celtic supporters on. I mean, yeah. I think in the bigger picture,
does that surprise you?
In the bigger picture, you know, yeah, you're saying Rangers didn't have to win yesterday, but you know, for the bigger picture, winning yesterday would have made a hell of a lot, give them a boost in confidence and the belief they can beat Celtic. But I think Jim asked, or maybe Simon asked, about who feels better after the game. If you're 2-0 up if you're Celtic, you're 2-0 up at Ibrox, and then it gets,
you don't win it,
and you don't win it. Then you get to 2-2, and then you go 3-2 up, and there's 2 or 3 minutes to go in the game, and you still don't win the game. Then you're feeling sorry for yourself. It's a game you should have won.
You just told me big time players don't feel sorry for themselves. Then move on to the next game.
And in that moment in time, you're sitting in the dressing room at Ibrox thinking, that's a game we should have won. That's a game we should have won. They'll be feeling sorry for themselves. For Rangers, they've clawed themselves back out of a game that they were looking down both barrels at losing that game. So that's why the momentum and the feel-good factor would have been with Rangers yesterday in their dressing room more than Celtic. But that is a short-term thing. Going forward from that, we shall have to wait and see what happens.
But that was precisely my point. It feels like to me, never having been a player, and obviously,
and that's very important when you open your mouth and you're talking about football.
It feels to me like in a two-tier league where only two sides are going to win. It feels to me like you've got to beat the major opposition, and Rangers don't. So whilst you had your little 5 minutes, it's like giving someone a telling off. You feel better and walk away, and it achieves very, very, very little often. So Rangers feel better for 5 minutes after clawing themselves back into a game. But in the bigger picture of things, they don't beat Celtic.
Well, we don't know the bigger picture because the season is yet to be finalised.
Hang on. The bigger picture is, don't be absurd. It's a two-team league.
No.
Right? It's not defined by other sides. It's Rangers and Celtic that are going to define their outcomes for themselves. So with that in mind...
No, not necessarily. That's because you've never played the game. You don't understand that.
Beat the opposition that's going to determine your outcome, then you ain't going to win the league,
But you can still win the league. I'm saying by the time they play again at Parkhead, one of the teams might have lost a couple of games. It could be over by then.
And I can walk across the road and get run over by a bus. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, does it?
That's football. But that's why there's no certainty in football.
Right. Well, there's Alan in Glasgow saying...
Aberdeen might win it, isn't it?